Alright, imagine you're running a company and you want to increase your market share. You decide to run a promotional giveaway. Good idea. Those always work. All you need to do is get the legal end of things squared away and you've got a license to print money. Look, I know hiring the lawyers and going over all the paperwork and fine print is a pain in the ass, but you gotta get that part right. These giveaway things can be a legal nightmare if you don't make sure you've covered everything. Okay, now you're gonna run an ad letting everyone know about the giveaway. What are you gonna put in the ad? A Harrier jet? What? You're going to advertise the Harrier jet as part of the giveaway? Did you run this by legal? No? The marketing team told you not to worry about that? Oh God. Oh Jesus Christ. Oh no. In 1996, Pepsi was looking to take some market share from the dominant Coca-Cola. You know, I've bizarrely done a few videos involving Pepsi, and they all seem to start like that. Pepsi is like a Saturday morning cartoon villain, always coming up with some zany schemes to achieve one singular goal. What they came up with was Pepsi Stuff, a sort of loyalty program where you would receive points for purchasing their products, which you could then redeem for premium Pepsi merchandise. You know, the usual shite, t-shirts and caps and all that crap. To promote Pepsi Stuff, they launched an ad campaign showcasing some of the things you could get from the Pepsi catalogue. Of course, that doesn't make for a very memorable promotion, so the ad jokingly ends with the inclusion of a McDonnell Douglas AV-8 Harrier II, listed at a cost of 7 million Pepsi points. Now, as you can probably imagine, Pepsi had no intention of giving away a Harrier jet. They just used the imagery to add a bit of flair to their advertisement. They didn't add it to the catalogue. Of course, no one could plausibly even amass 7 million Pepsi points. A 12-pack of cans was worth 5 points. So at that rate, you'd have to buy 16.8 million cans. That's 46,000 cans every day for a year. It would have worked out at about $4 million to pay for all of that. Now, if you're a particularly astute viewer, you've already realised how Pepsi has fucked up here. A Harrier jet does not cost $4 million. The one in the ad cost somewhere in the region of $33 million. So, at 7 million Pepsi points, the Harrier jet in the ad was actually a steal. But still, nobody's gonna buy that much Pepsi and count up all the points, right? Well, this is where Pepsi fucked up again. 21-year-old business student John Leonard saw the ad for the Harrier and quickly worked out that it was worth much more than Pepsi was asking for it, meaning it could be quite the deal if one had the capital to invest. And so, Leonard went about hiring lawyers and consultants to go over Pepsi's promotion and where it stood in relation to advertising law. After spending about $4,000 in fees, it was determined that Pepsi would have to honour the offer for the Harrier jet, even if it wasn't in the catalogue. Leonard was now determined to claim his Harrier jet, but he was never going to invest $4 million into this, right? Well, he didn't have to. There was a sort of loophole. To claim something from the catalogue, Pepsi only required you to send in 15 Pepsi points, and then you could just buy the rest of the points at 10 cents each. This was by far the cheapest way to get anything from the catalogue, and it meant the 7 million point jet would only cost about $700,000. Oh Lord. Using contacts he had made with wealthy clients while working as a climbing instructor, Leonard was able to convince them to buy in on his plan and raised the $700,000. He sent a check for this and 15 Pepsi points in a letter to Pepsi asking to redeem the Harrier jet. So, what did Pepsi do? Well, as you can imagine, Pepsi responded saying that the jet was not actually part of the promotion and was just used to create an entertaining ad, returning John Leonard's check and throwing in some free coupons out of pity. From here, the case developed into a lawsuit, with Leonard taking Pepsico to court over failure to honour their advertised offer. After 3 years of legal proceedings, the case finally found itself in front of a judge, where the case hinged on whether or not Pepsi's TV ad constituted a legally binding offer. The judge ruled it didn't, for 3 main reasons. 1. Ads are generally merely considered requests for consumers to deal and are not considered legally binding until the advertiser accepts an offer from a consumer. 2. It was ruled any reasonable person would conclude the ad was obviously a joke and not a serious offer. And 3. There was no contract in place due to a lack of written agreement from both parties. Obviously the law is a little more complicated than that, but I'm not a lawyer, and neither are you, so the general gist of the matter will suit both of us. Honestly, pretty lame move on Pepsi's part, even if they were legally within their rights. I mean, it was obviously a joke, but you know, if someone goes through all that trouble to call your bluff, maybe there's a better way of handling it. Or just don't make claims you're not prepared to back up, even if they are in jest. After the debacle, Pepsi changed the cost of the Harrier in the ad from 7 million points to 700 million. As for John Leonard, well, I admire his spirit. Some have criticised his demands, saying even if he got the damn jet, he wouldn't be able to fly it, or pay for a pilot, or have anywhere to store it, or pay for a hangar. I think that's a little short-sighted. Considering the price he would have paid for it, he would have made a killing auctioning it off to someone who can afford those things. Right? I mean, there's taxes involved too, of course, and maybe you'd even need special licenses to sell this shit in the first place. I mean, he'd never have got the jet without it being demilitarized first, but... You know what? I'll let you guys advise me on this in the comments. I've already told the damn story. And if you're interested in a loyalty program that won't misleadingly advertise you things, why not become a member of my channel? You'll receive cool badges and emojis for when you comment, and at higher tiers you'll even get updates about upcoming videos, as well as a Formula 1 sports car, dates with supermodels, and vacations on private islands. Wait. I sense I've made a mistake. I can't verify which of these are actual perks of channel membership and which are not. So let's just say you may be entitled to all or none of them. Got a problem with that? Go to hell, bastard! There. I think that's all my legal bases covered. What's that? I was sure. Yeah, I went over that. Yep, definitely got the go to hell part in there. Oh yeah, nearly forgot about that. Subscribe!
It was an eye-catching ad for Pepsi Cola, and it caught John Leonard's eye. Collect points from Pepsi labels and claim prizes like t-shirts and sunglasses, or, for 7 million points, a Harrier jet.
Sure beats the bus.
People say, well, didn't you want a t-shirt? I said, well, when there's a Harrier,